Good evening, everyone. Colleagues, friends, family, thank you for being here. We're honored to have General Gray with us. Just a few facts. General Gray enlisted in 1950. He was the 29th Commandant of the Marine Corps, 1987 to 1991. And I found some quotes, but I'm just going to give you a couple of words about him. He was interested in intellectual growth and also emphasizing the Marine Corps culture of being a warrior. The Gray Research Center, of course, is named after him. Sir.
Supposed to push this and see if it lights, right? Oh, this is okay. It's a good thing we got it. It's a good thing we got it. Is it on now? It's on. Good thing we have a bunch of scientists here so we can get started. Will you sit down? Ever since I came here this morning, they've been, hovering over me like a helicopter instead of letting them on. It's really it's a very distinct privilege to be here with you tonight, and I say that because although I'm not smart enough to be an operation research type or assistant analyst or any of the other related disciplines, I am smart enough to know what a great role and what a great history you have. Because I'm obviously much older than anybody here tonight, and I can remember full well when I was a youngster growing up in New Jersey along the beach. I was 12, 13 years old. We were helping the Coast Guard keep the lights blacked out. We were dealing with the German submarine threat. We had ships getting sunk there, and of course you all know historically the terrible submarine threat that the Nazis or the Germans sent forward. They were sinking one merchant ship a day in the United States, 500 Allied ships in a year, and so the threat was enormous. And they had to do something about it because a lot of people particularly the Merchant Marine, gave up their lives. And so a group of people got together here in the United States, as well as, of course, in England, even before, and they started what you people do, and the contribution that your forefathers, if you will, made to not only winning the war, but to all the success that we've had in the years that followed in terms of the military and Social Security, and also even in business now. Operations research, as you know, is a big mover in business as well. And so you have a lot to be proud of, and I certainly was really excited to be invited down here by George to have a chance to tell you that. I was, during the Marine presentation out there, I was thinking of a story when the corporal came by and inspected the rifles, and had thrown them up in the air. Well, when I was the commandant, we had a parade on a Monday night for the President Bush the Elder and Mrs. Bush, Barbara. And it was kind of a hot, sticky night. And when they came to the silent drill, which you observed, the corporal came around and they threw the rifle up in the air, and the corporal was an African-American corporal named Johnson, and he reached up very militarily and dropped the rifle. Reached down very militarily, picked it up, threw it up in the air again, dropped it again. So we're sitting there, in the bleachers, if you will, in the front row, and there's President Bush, and then I call it Lord Pace. General Pace was a colonel, and he had the barracks. And then myself, and then Barbara Bush, and then my wife Jan. So the president and Mrs. Bush start talking. What's going to happen to him? What's going to happen to him? He dropped his rifle. He's going to be killed, I guess. And so finally I said, look, Mr. President, nothing's going to happen to Corporal Johnson. He's a good man. If it's okay with you, I said, instead of going to work early tomorrow morning, I'll hang around, wait till Colonel Pace gets up and they have a formation at 7:30. And after the formation, I'll send for Corporal Johnson. And I'll tell him what a great job he did and the way he hung in there. He said, will you do that, Al? I said, yes, sir. So, next morning, I get up early, I hang around, and then talking to Sergeant Major for a while. And finally, Lord Pace comes to work, and we have the formation. And I sent for Corporal Johnson. And before he can get to me, a Marine captain dressed blues, a White House orderly, comes up with an envelope and gives it to Corporal Johnson. Johnson reads it and gives it to me. And it says, Dear Corporal Johnson, Mrs. Bush and I want you to know how proud we were of you last night and what a great example you set. And this is now Tuesday morning. And you could do us a personal favor if Wednesday, tomorrow, you come to the White House and have breakfast with us. And we'll give you a tour of the White House. Now, that's the kind of thing that President Bush, the elder, would do. No politics involved there or anything like that. And I saw the president about 4 months after that. He said, how's it going, Al? I said, not very good. He said, what's the matter? I said, gosh, you got everybody running around the Marine Corps now dropping a rifle. I thought I'd talk a little bit about the situation today and in the future. I think, as you all know, we're in another budget crunch. We've been there before. We had no money in the Marine Corps, for example, in the 1970s, before you were born, during the Carter administration, and yet that's when we made some of our greatest moves. In the 1970s, when we had no money, we remembered it doesn't cost any money to think. It doesn't cost any money to think, and that's what you can also contribute to the military today. And so in the 1970s, we studied every light armored vehicle in the world. Most of them were built overseas. One was built, the Cadillac Gauge built them in the United States. There was a garbage truck outfit in West Virginia built one. All the rest were built overseas. And we looked at all of them. We sent Marine officers to the Arab-Israeli conflict and the like. We did our homework. We started a big new studies program, and we studied everything under the sun. And that was one of the first times we began to really use operational research people. We used them, along with some system analysis people from Monterey, we used them to look at the tasks in the study and to make sure that we got the right questions answered. And that was smart too, because it began to give the rest of the Marines a knowledge of what you do and how you do it and what you expect. And so it was a win-win situation. We, as I said, we got wind that we were going to be asked if we were interested in getting light armored vehicles off the shelf by the Congress. There had been a big move going on in the 70s. There was a lot of military reform talk. And of course, we were in the lead with the maneuver warfare thought process and all of that. And so there was a lot of that going on. And I remember we had a wet down party at 8th and I at the barracks for one of our generals who's just passed away now, and he'd gotten promoted. And General Barrow was the commandant, and he came. You know, all the in my day, all the senior generals were from the South. General Wilson from Mississippi, General Barrows, Louisiana, General Davis of Georgia, and John Miller was from Texas. In fact, if the truth were known, I was a captain for 14 years. And I finally said, I got to do something about this, so I changed my address to South Jersey. And I started walking slower, talking slower, pretending to step over furrows, and I shot right up after that. But anyway, getting back to this, General Barrow was there, and I was a little bit of a maverick. They really didn't like me in Washington, and they always said, Barrow said, what are you doing here? And I said, well, I'm here. I said, we got to talk. I said, let's go over by the window. So I said, General, I hear you're going to go to the Western Pacific on a trip. He said, yeah, I'm leaving in 2 days. I said, well, I don't want you to come back from the Pacific and find out you're getting light armored vehicles. He said, what are you all talking about? And so I told him, I said, you know, these people are interested in it. We need to improve our mobility. We already proved it with maneuvers in Europe in like in 76 and 77 when we borrowed German reconnaissance vehicles and practiced using them and all that kind of thing. So I said, the Congress is going to ask us if we want it. And if it's okay with you, I'd like to say yes. Well, what do you think we'll do? I said, well, let's have one of those meetings that you have. So the next day, he had one of these chief of staff meetings. And we went around the table, and there were 19 generals in the room. I was a junior general there. I was a very senior brigadier, a junior general. And General Barrow sat at the head table, along with General Miller from Quantico. And so General Fitch, the research and development chief, he took the lead, brought this thing up, and they went around the table, and everybody said, no, we can't get a light armored vehicle, we can't have a vehicle different from the Army, we can't have different ammo, blah, 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 blah. So then he got down to me, and I said, well, you know, I got a different idea. I think we ought to do it. We need to improve our mobility, we got to increase our capability for reconnaissance. There's a lot of reasons why we want to do it, and we got to get better. We got to be able to maneuver quicker. If you can't, you know, if you can't maneuver quicker than the other guys, they get beat. And so Barrow leans back. He says, yeah, I'm getting tired of everybody calling me Mossback. You know, that's the way they said he was old-fashioned, you know. And so right away, well, we had a good idea, you know, everybody approved it. And so the next week, we went to the Congress, we were asked the question, and Senator Nunn said, would you be interested in light armored vehicles? And we said, yes, provided that we could make some adjustments. We knew that we had to do some work with the suspension system. We knew that we knew to have to do a little bit with turret integration, which is always a tough problem, as you people know from the research standpoint. And we knew that the Army had already done a lot of turret integration business with the Bradley fighting vehicle, so that's why we picked the same gun, the 25 millimeter, to go on the LAV, the light armored vehicle. And so we said yes. First the Army was asked, they were there, and the Army said no. So then we said yes. Then the Army said, well, we want some too. No. and they wouldn't give any to the Army. And then finally somebody said, would you speak for the Commandant? And I said, you have to ask General Miller that. He was a 3-star guy. And Miller said, nobody speaks for the Commandant, but he comes close. The Congress gave us the money for the light armored vehicle. Now, the point of the story is that they gave us the money on the 15th of March, 1980. On the 15th of March, 1984, we fielded the first light armored vehicle battalion at Camp Lejeune, 4 years to the day. It shouldn't have to take 7 or 8 or 10 or 15 years to do these kind of things. And we were talking at the table about analysis of alternatives and all that gobbledygook, which you people make your money on. That's a bunch of hogwash. I once told General Pace and General Cartwright both, I said, if I'd have known that when you were in the Joint Chiefs of Staff, you'd have come up with this analysis of alternatives idea, you'd both still be colonels. But at any rate, we have to live with it. The problem with the acquisition business is the requirements. It takes too long. That's why I don't like it. It shouldn't take too long. For example, are you old enough to know that the Marines developed the Humvee, not the Army? The high mobility multi-purpose field vehicle? Yeah, we were testing, we called it a lightweight dune buggy. We were testing it out at Fort Irwin with the Army and at 29 Palms with the Marines. And in September of 1979, the Army drop-kicked the testimony and the Congress killed the program. So we called up then Senator Pete Wilson, the later governor of California. He had been a Marine. He said, what are you doing? We really need this, sir. He said, the Army never mentioned you. I said, well, I don't care whether they mentioned it or not. We need it. And so he said, okay. I I said, we got to replace our Jeeps. You know, we had mighty Jeeps. We got to replace our 3/4 ton trucks and all that kind of thing. So he said, okay, we'll put it back in the program, but you have to run it. And all the R&D money came to the Marine Corps in December of 1979 for the Humvee. And we had this is another point I want to make. Whatever you do, whether people get promoted or not in civilian and military sense, they're still good people. And at the Development Center, we had a lot of good majors who couldn't get promoted because there just wasn't any billets. We had a major named Art Shadforth, who 3 times did not make lieutenant colonel. He couldn't get promoted to motor transport for some reason. In fact, his wife was a major, passed over lieutenant colonel in the headquarters battalion as well. But he was good. So I brought him down and moved in next to my office, threw the aide and the staff secretary out. And we drew out the variants for the Humvee on the blackboard. You know, one for manpower, one to carry people, one for the tow weapon system, one to be an ambulance, etc., etc. And Major Shadforth wrote, the requirements in those days were called mission element need statements. You old enough to remember that? And, so he wrote the mission element need statement for the Humvee, for the Marine Corps, between Christmas and New Year's of 1979. No analysis of alternative, no other hogwash. And on New Year's Day, you know, the Marines always have a big I love you party at 8th and 9th, the barracks, and the band plays and all. I never got invited because I was a maverick, but I went anyway. And General Wilson was the commandant of Louisiana. And I knew him pretty well because he enlisted me in the Marine Corps when he was a major recruiter and all. So he took great pride in that. He said, well, what are you doing here? And I said, we got to talk, sir. Let's go in the kitchen. So we went in the kitchen. I said, you got to sign this, sir. What is it? So I briefed him on what it was. And he signed it. He signed the mission element need statement on New Year's Day of 1980. I went back to Quantico because I really wasn't invited to the big party. And I gave Shadforth the day off, the next day off, because it was Sunday. And Shadforth then, Art wrote the mission element need statement for the joint program for the Army, the Navy, and the Air Force. On 19 February of 1980, I delivered it to the Navy and to the Army and to the Air Force. The Army and the Navy in those days, we didn't have all this hoppity-goo-goo pace set up. In those days, all you had to do was harmonize the requirement. In other words, you talk to the other services, and if they wanted something additional in there, you coordinate and put it in there. And the Navy approved it in 10 days. The Army approved, or the Air Force approved it in 10 days. The Army is a little different. And I love the Army. You know, I spent 10 years since I retired on their senior advisory board. They're hard to help, but I try. But the Army has not one Army, but several armies. The Air Defense Army, the Artillery Army, the Infantry Army, and so on. And of course now they got the Special Ops and everything else. And so they took 19 months. In the meantime, we went ahead and developed the Humvee, tested the Humvee, had it approved and everything, and then sent all the material and the test vehicles and all to TACOM, the Tank Automotive Command in Detroit, because the Army was going to be the biggest user in the light. And the first Humvees came to the Army and the Marine Corps in 1982. So you can do things pretty quickly if you had that kind of backing. But you also have to have the backing of senior military leaders. And we don't have that so much today because of this acquisition command thing that they've set up. And so in the old days, you had guys who were experienced in research and development, experienced in some of these kind of things, and so on. They don't have that today. And so this is a challenge that I think needs to be correct it. But at any rate, there is a lot of acquisition change going to come again. We'll see if it works. But it isn't going to be optimized until they narrow the gap in requirements. So that because when you begin to test something in S&T, in science and technology and the like, and you begin to see something that might work, you ought to be able to put a little money in it, you ought to get started. And you take some OR people, and some system analysis people, and some project officer people, and you get with it. And instead now, nobody wants to do anything, particularly industry, unless there's a program of record. Yeah. So there's a 2 or 3 year gap between when you need something and when somebody gets around to finally funding it. And all of this is going to be more difficult than ever because of the budget crunch, and that's the point I want to make. Now more than ever, your efforts are needed. You have really got to get in there now and make doggone sure that what is being thought about in terms of procurement and the like, make sure that it does what it's supposed to do. And it does it right, and it does it in accordance with your standards. And you ought to really take that on board because you're going to make the difference. If we didn't have the advice of people like you in the 70s and 80s, we never got done everything we wanted to do. Just like the solar launch multi-purpose assault weapon. That was an idea. That was an idea that in 1979. That was an idea. There was a guy down in Dalton across the river there named Maury Schimbecker, and he was an engineer, and he designed a warhead that it was 83 mic by 83 millimeters in size. And this warhead, if it fired around, if it hit solid concrete, it would delay and then dip and blow like a modified shape charge. That was the capability. If it hit something soft, it would do the same thing. So we brought that thing up to Quantico. We had the Army, the Navy, the Air Force there. And we built a bunker. We built a rail to fire this missile. And we built a concrete bunker. We put railroad ties on top of the concrete bunker and then concrete on top of the railroad ties. And we fired that number. And it blew those railroad ties about 50 feet. And I said, man, that beats John Wayne in it. The movies, you know how it is in the movies, the guy's going up there with a satchel charge, a flamethrower, and a hand grenade, and the movie fast forwards in heaven, and it's getting working hard. And we want that. This thing really had a pop. And so we had been testing out something called a PP-300 rocket launcher, Israeli, and it was a good system, but it didn't quite have the pop we needed. There was a lot of hoopla in those days from OR people about the frontal basis of the T-80 tank and the role of Virginia's armor and all that other technical gobbledygook. Well, anyway, we said, that fires at 82 millimeters. So we told the shop force, we said, scale that down to 82 millimeters. He did. And then, like I said, we had no money, but we had a warehouse down there by the marina at Quantico where the sailboats are. And all the stuff that we were testing out that we wanted, we couldn't afford, we had in that warehouse. We had the latest boots, and then, they were just then figuring out how to do vortex and all that kind of thing. And so we had that weapon down there. And then in June, on the 15th of June of 1980, I'll never forget the day, the comptroller of the Navy, old Charlie Nafakis, are you old enough to know him? And Charlie wanted to play golf. And so the fiscal director of the Marine Corps brought him to Quantico. And they had to justify the trip, so they sent him over to me to get free. And I took it down to the warehouse. And I showed him all that stuff. And Charlie was in a magnanimous mood, and the weather was good and all that. So he said, if you had a little bit of money, which one of these things would you like? I pointed right there at the BP-300 rocket launcher, that warhead. I said, right there. I said, you give me $15 million so I can field that in a year. I said, you got that much sloshing around that computer. That's how we ran the Marine Corps. I mean, every April, when the Air Force was rounding off in the comptroller's office, we go stand outside the Air Force office and hold our hand out, and we get 20 or 30 million. And that's so. Anyway, about a week later, Nabocus, Charlie comes. We get a purchase order for $15 million. And we'd already done all the other stuff. We planned to sole source it. We'd gone out to industry with several of them. McDonnell Douglas had the best proposal and the like, and the best training program, et cetera, et cetera. So we went right to McDonnell Douglas, and we fielded the solar launch multi-purpose assault weapon in 18 months. So the point I want to make here is that, not to tell a bunch of she stories, the point I really want to make is somehow, some way, and you can't do this, I know, but you can help. If you provide the right kind of OR analysis and the right kind of recommendations, that's the start. And the rest of it, of course, you're going to have to speed up the process, and we're working on that. I've talked long enough here, but I want to congratulate you again on the 50th anniversary, and I hope you have many more. We have something in common, really. Tonight is my 88th anniversary, and so I was 88 at 6:30 this morning. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other. God bless you, and simple for us.
Okay, so we have a few things here, and then we'll get on the way. That's back to the journal. Let me get my notes here because I can't remember over 3 things. So I think. All right, so a couple things here. First of all, thanks for all the committee that put this together, and everybody, the more staff, but in really particular the museum staff here that put together super dinner indicators. So let's give a round of applause for them. So after we dismiss here, I'd like the fellows to meet back there for a group picture, if you can get the fellows together. For those of you who were VIP, either tables or stuff, the books are over there, and soon as the more staff gets up and gets over there, you can go back and get your books and coins into here. Just a reminder, afterwards you have the scavenger hunt. Find that piece of paper, walk around. We will have prizes for that. There's 50 years or more back in the auditorium that you can go back. It's a running show. So did I forget anything? I did forget something.
Let's thank Denny for putting this together.
So the main thing is, look, we had a lot of good interchange here and stuff in here, and we had several tables in the running. Okay, but they came up to me and kind of went. So the winning table is table number 17. I will get your stuff later on in here. So with that, you're excused. The museum closes at 10:30, and I'm going to turn it back to DJ Ray.